ComBank Summit, Forward Together 2025, creating a sustainable future.
Yes, let us move on to the panel discussion, which brings together three experts. Mr. Ranwala, Mr. Engineer Arnold Ranwala, he represents the industry, I would say, and Professor Lalit Rajapaksha, representing research and academia, and Engineer Nilantha Dhanapala, representing the government sector. These are the roles that I assigned them. You can comment on any other aspects as you think would be fitting to the discussion. The panel will revolve around 5 themes. Some of the themes that I was talking to you about when I was introducing the keynote speech. So we will have the session or the panel discussion divided into 5 themes, namely, we will first discuss about technology for efficiency and equity. Then we will go into policy and institutional leadership, and then industry's role in water stewardship. Fourth, we will move on to academic and research contributions. And finally, the role of financial institutions in water sustainability. We will not divide the time equally, but depending on the type of discussion, the nature of discussion that we have, we can allocate enough time for these topics. First, let us move on to technology for efficiency and equity. When I talk about technology and efficiency, technology for efficiency and equity, there are 2 different things when we put them together. That 2 questions comes to my mind. First is which smart water technologies are seeing the most success and why? The second question would be how do we ensure technology is accessible to every part of the society? So let us look at the first. Smart water technologies, which we are seeing today, and which are the most successful, which has the most potential to be adopted if we try to diffuse them across societies. The technology, the sophistication, the diffusion, and then the adoption. Either adoption or rejection. If the technology is transferred appropriately, it will be adopted and it will transform the water inefficiency to efficient systems, and we can manage water sustainably. At present, we come across IoT-enabled irrigation, AI-based water leak detection systems. The potential is vast. But ensuring that technology supports both efficiency and equitable diffusion of these technologies is a real challenge. In many regions, probably elsewhere, not in Sri Lanka, even in Sri Lanka, we can quote some examples. Technologies have transformed how best we allocate water. Sri Lanka, despite having strong engineers and academic talent, still lags behind in widespread adoption of these smart technologies in water management or water use. The first question from me goes to Engineer Ranwala, who is at the furthest from me. From your experience I know that you were in the private sector, and then now you are an independent consultant who is working for the ADB and the World Bank.
Engineer Ranwala, how can we ensure that smart water technologies are designed
and deployed in a way that are accessible, inclusive, and they're more relevant to local contexts. What features that you would like to have in the smart tech? How smart should they be in the Sri Lankan context, given the economic and technological sophistications that we have in Sri Lanka today?
Okay, thank you for the question. Already we are using various smart things in the water sector. At the moment, under engineers and under other scientists, we use various advanced applications. Not only smart, they are very much advanced. But now, in my opinion, that we should be more practical to put that knowledge or to inculcate that knowledge into the lower system. That that knowledge should trickle to the lower ranks also. Also, there are various types of advanced software, and also there are type of medium type software, and also there are now various smart apps are also coming, which are very much related to water. So this knowledge, this advanced knowledge, only few people will have, and only few people will practice, and only few people will have real practical knowledge on these advanced systems. And these advanced systems now, and the medium systems, whatever, should be broad-based and should be showcased and should go into the lower ranks, and they should be trained and they should be educated in these systems. And also these financial institutes like banks, they also would like to receive trainings on these aspects, so that whenever there are projects or when they want to assist the public, they can easily evaluate the systems whether they are realistic.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Anwala. Now, Engineer Nilantha, would you like to comment on the aspects of how to ensure that these the so-called smart technologies can be accessible to regions with limited infrastructure? Now, if you can focus on some traditional ways of managing water infrastructure, and then how we can go beyond the traditional ways, because we have been managing water resources successfully and efficiently for several millennia, right? I wouldn't say that we don't have the capacity, but to suit the present context, do you think that we are our communities, especially marginalized communities, are they ready to adopt smart technologies? How much should they be, and what aspects would you look into when you look into any technology transfer efforts?
Thank you, sir, for your question, and good afternoon, all audience. So, actually, sir, today we are discussing water security and smart management. Actually, we should know why we are discussing the water security and smart management. So, if we are discussing this matter, we should have the water scarcity, right? So, in my job activities, now I am representing the Mahavali system. I think before going to give answer, so I think audience would know the Mahavali system, right? So Mahavali system is developing based on the Mahavali basins, right? So for the Mahavali system include the other basins also. Example, Kalaya basins, Malwatuwe basins, Daduruya, Maduruya, like that. Recently, the Kirindiva basin also added to the Mahavali system. In future, the Daduruya and Mio also will add to the Mahavali system. After completing the you know the Mahavali North Central Province Canal and the Northwest Province Canal, the northern part of Sri Lanka also we added to the Mahavali system. Right? We are managing the Kalani Ganga and Mahavali, the Kalani and Kaluganga basin also. So the Kalani Ganga and the Kaluganga basin, we are managing only hydro and drinking water, especially for the drinking, you know, the Colombo and Kalutere area. And earlier I told you the other basins, we are controlling, managing the environmental flow and another irrigation requirement, water board requirement, industrial requirement, environment requirement. Likewise, we are managing. So, right. Now we are discussing about the smart water management. So, if you if you think about the earlier our irrigation systems, so there are some methods. One is the surface irrigation system. Another is the well and tube well irrigation system, and tank irrigation system and canal irrigation system. Likewise, we have the traditional our irrigation system. So now we are all of you know that we are using the modern irrigation methods. So the drip irrigation system, sprinkler irrigation system, and another is a sub irrigation system. Likewise, that is the modern irrigation system. So why we are discussing today smart irrigation system? Right. We have to discuss. We have to think, or we have to discuss about the smart irrigation system if we have the water scarcity. Right. So now actually in the Mahavali system, presently we don't have the water scarcity, but every 10 years or something there may be some water stress, water crisis. That is the climate effect. And but after completing the Mahavali system, we have to send the water to the another basins. Earlier I told you northern side and other thing. Then for providing those the water for those area, we should do the water management, including smart water management. Right. So by adopting smart water management, so now we are the water scarcity area. The farmers are using the drip, sprinkle and other irrigation system. So the smart irrigation means now we are converting into those irrigation method into automated system. And another one is we have to provide water for the maintaining the crop. That means we should maintain the soil moisture by measuring the soil moisture. The automated system are working. Then water productivity, water efficiency we can gain it. So likewise, now there are so many techniques coming into work. So by measuring temperature, humidity and wind, we can predict the water needs. Then those technologies are coming in some industries. In Sri Lanka, there are some commercial industries now working and now ongoing. Actually, earlier sir told you we are planning the commercial agriculture development project. Then we try to include those smart technology for those irrigation system. So that's all.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Nilantha. Now you were touching upon this at least partially the diffusion of irrigation, this modernization and at least smart systems now beginning to be adopted. But you made one point that we need some clarity whether Sri Lanka faces any water scarcity, whether we have water or whether we have no water, whether where the problem is. Professor Lalit, would you like to comment on that? Are we facing any water scarcity? What is your opinion?
Yeah, thank you. That is a very timely question because as we all know, as a nation, we are very famous for ancient water management wisdom. And on top of that, during one of the previous sessions, one of the UN officials told me, we are very lucky in the sense that we have a river system. We say 103 main rivers, starting or originating from the central hilllands and radially moving along the hilly terrain and then meeting the flat area, reaching the sea outfalls. It is a radial distribution. So if we look at many other countries, according to this information, there are wet areas and arid areas. Of course, in Sri Lanka, we have a wet zone and dry zone. But even in the dry zone, we have a rainfall, annual rainfall of around 1,200 millimeters to 1,700 millimeters. We are talking about some countries which receives only 180 to 200 millimeter for the whole year, even in the African region, Middle East, even in some European countries. So 1,200, 1,500 rainfall in the dry zone and 2,500 to 5,000 millimeters of rainfall per year. That is a 5-meter high water column. So we are a water-rich nation. So the problem lies the distribution of rainfall, because as a tropical country, not like those countries located in the cold region, they receive water from rainfall as well as during the winter they have snowfall which accumulates and then converted into runoff during the spring or the summer. But we receive rain, we receive water only due to rainfall. And on top of that, even though we have a wet zone, we know that there are relatively dry periods even in the wet zone. And in the dry zone, the problem is even more critical, because if we take the annual rainfall distribution, we have 8 to 9 months of dry period followed by 2 to 3 months of period with heavy rainfall. So out of the total rainfall of, let's say, 1,750 millimeters, sometimes 50 to 75% of rainfall is received during this short interval of 2 to 3 months. And on top of that, the climate change impact. So climate change is not only about the sea level rise or the increasing temperatures. So water, environment, and ecosystems, all these are very much connected to each other. If the temperature is going to affect one part of the hydrologic cycle, let's say the evapotranspiration, with the increasing temperature, there will be higher evaporation, evapotranspiration, which will take water out from the water bodies and even from the vegetated areas. So we are a water-rich nation, but there is a disparity in the rainfall distribution, both spatially and temporally. And on top of that, this is, if we look at the situation within our country, now we have other definitions to this water management. So at the end of this particular analysis, it seems that we are importing a lot of water from other countries. How does this happen? So if we are importing, let's say, 1 kilogram of rice from another country, it takes a huge amount of water to produce this 1 kilogram of rice. It is said that we call it as the water footprint of a product, or the embedded water in a product cycle. So it is mentioned that to produce 1 kilogram of rice, we need about 4,000 liters of water. And 1 kilogram of beef, around 15,000 liters or kilograms of water. So now we are talking about importing vehicles after a long break. How much water could be embedded in production of one vehicle? So when we look at the global picture, we are not that rich. So we are importing a lot of water. So according to the global water analysis, we are in the range of orange to light red. So that is not a very good picture. So within the country, we are water rich. Of course, there are disparities. But when we look at the global water picture, we are having a negative water balance.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Rajapaksha. Yes, now we have water, but there's no water when we need water to be used. The water footprint that Professor Rajapaksha just mentioned, very recently I was involved in a couple of feasibility studies for setting up of industrial zones. You'll not believe that one was proposed at Ingiriya, very close to Labugama Reservoir, and Kaluganga is flowing just beside the city limits. Kandana water intake is very close by, but Ingiriya township has no water supply. And the industrial zone, establishing the industrial zone, the first constraint is no water available for the industrial use. Is that water not available for the industrial use, or whether we are not managing the water resources adequately? That's what equity is all about. The water has to be distributed equitably among all the potential users. As Professor Rajapaksha correctly mentioned, the water footprint, why are we looking at water allocation for irrigation sector alone? Why don't we allocate water to the industrial sector as a priority? Now, North Central Canal, for example, Engineer Dhanapala, it is exclusively for the irrigation sector. Why can't we supply water for the industrial sector, right? With lots of investments. Now, what is the return that we get from the agricultural sector? When we talk about the total GDP, and why not we provide the scarce resource water to the industrial sector and see how that would contribute back to the national development. Professor Engineer Ranwala, would you like to comment on that equitable distribution? Whether agricultural sector, is it the only sector that needs water, or can't we go beyond agricultural sector and think of the industrial sector, supply the water that they need, not preferentially, but at least to satisfy their needs, and then, as Professor Lalit mentioned, to supply the optimal need of water to the agricultural sector, cutting down on all the resource inefficiencies. What is the technology that we can, how the technology can be used for such transition?
Yeah, thank you. I think, as you said, the lion's share is with the irrigation. It is because of various social and political reasons it has gone to that level. And also when we talk about industries, people will have a negative attitude. It's a very negative attitude. Now, as you said, now for example, in Ingiriya, okay, there are a lot of resources around, but it is very difficult to harness the resource because there is no plan. And also recently now we are doing some studies for Damul industrial one, and then they won't have a wastewater plant, and then the wastewater discharge where we should put. We should need that dilution and the resource, the outlet So now the plans are afoot to put that to Dambuloe, but I'm sure that the Mahavali, Mr. Nilantha is also there, they will not like it, right? So by default, they have this, negative attitude towards this. And also there's lack of planning. Various industrial estates are coming at various places without a plan or without a strategic assessment or any other thing. So they just, come for various political reasons sometimes and not with technical reasons. So they should be cited after plan, after certain feasibility studies. Now the issue is that they just come and then they will go for EIS. This is a bad thing to happen. This should not happen. First we should have a feasibility study. If that is possible only, then we should go for the environmental impact assessments and other studies, ancillary studies.
I think both Engineer Dhanapala and Engineer Ranwala can comment on this. Now, we have this commercial agriculture development. At least we are moving away from paddy cultivation and this crop cultivation and going for commercial agriculture. At least we are looking at bringing in some foreign investors and foreign income into the country, at least from, say, within the agriculture sector. Engineer Dhanapala, what is the feasibility of having water provided for the commercial agricultural sector than the traditional agricultural sector? What is the impact? Can we still manage the agricultural production?
Yes, sir. If we consider the water consumption for paddy cultivations in the Maha seasons, normally 1.23. That means 1,200 around the water consumption height. In the Yala season, 1,450 something. So the huge water quantity is used for the paddy cultivations. If we convert it into the gravity irrigation system into the pipe irrigation system, so actually we can save the water. That means when we are sending water through the canals and reservoirs, there may be a evaporation loss and seepage loss likewise. So if we provide water through the pipe network system, so now we are designing the commercial agriculture development project, so then we can save the water actually 50%. Right? Now the earlier sir, you question about the water allocation for industrials also. Actually, we have the water now, the now existing system, but we have to improve the water management. And we have to use the rainfall forecasting and the improve forecasting. Then we can save the water. And nowadays, the Med Department issuing the rainfall forecasting. So by referring those forecasting, if tomorrow, if we have the rainfall, then we can close our sluices. Then we can save the water. Likewise, we can save the water. Now technology is now coming on into act. So then, actually, in the Mahavali system, the farmers don't possess to allocate the water for industrial, water board or likewise. So they have the assurance we are providing the water. So if farmers has the assurance the water is okay, then they are not protecting. So the government officers has the duty to aware those farmers and the peoples. Then actually we don't have any problem. Actually, in the Mahavali system, we are providing the water for the commercial farms also. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Can I invite one or two comments from the audience related to using smart technologies in water management, not only in irrigation, but also other sectors of water users. What are the technologies that we are seeing the most successful in your experience? If any one of you have any experiences, we would like to share your experiences. Yes.
Thanks. Good afternoon. All right, I am from the wastewater treatment sector. Right. What I feel is like you are missing an expert here from the wastewater sector. Now we are listening to all the resources available and macro management of water, but okay, the sustainability part is not being spoken yet. So actually, I am here to listen to that, to get the advice or the information or whatever the data you have okay, how the masses can contribute to the sustainability of the water in the country, not with all the due respect to the knowledge and whatever you have shared so far. I think it is very important to discuss how the masses or the general people, general public can involve ourselves on the sustainability of the water. So what I see is like, okay, we are missing one part here. Okay, you can't do anything about it now, but it's very good if you have an expert from the wastewater treatment sector on this discussion.
I think we have that in our agenda here for the discussion. I think let's fast forward the discussion, and I'll try to connect you with what we want to discuss. In fact, yes, I think to have water usable, I think we need to prevent pollution, right? Because it's not pollution control that we are talking of. First, we need to prevent pollution, right? Now, I will give a prelude to what you're discussing. I think it's good that you started it. I think we started with irrigation. Then I think we wanted to come to this as well, because water supply and wastewater is the major part of the water users. Now, in Sri Lanka, we have, for example, drinking water sources, surface water as well as groundwater. Now, in the western province, our water table is very shallow. We have plenty of groundwater, but can we use that for drinking? Probably 50 years back, yes, we could. Until 50 years back, we could use that for drinking. But can we use that water for drinking now without treatment? That is because we have polluted the water sources that we have, the most precious water, drinking. Groundwater, in theory, is much safer than surface water, as long as it's not polluted. In Sri Lanka, we take pride in saying that 98 to 90% of the population has access to toilets. Does that mean that we treat the wastewater? So take that national average, 97% of the people have access to toilets, right? But at the same time, 97% of the households, the wastewater discharges have no wastewater connected to wastewater treatment systems, right? We have access to toilets. We flush down the wastewater without thinking what will happen next, right? So that is the truth that we hold. Don't take pride in saying that we have 90% of the people have access to toilets. Just our water supply is, I think the water coverage is, I think in most of the major city limits now almost 100%. But less than 3% wastewater coverage is the lowest in the South Asian region. The implication of that is water pollution, right? once you pollute the water, water becomes a health hazard, right? The quality of water can only be defined when we relate the water quality to the use of water, right? When you have, when you are provided with the word water, first you think of the consumption, human consumption of water, the water safety, then it is related to quality, and then the quantity. Right now, coming on to the very thing that you came up with, now policies and institutional setup that we have, right? We were discussing about the irrigation sector, but when it comes to source protection, do we have the proper regulation, the monitoring systems, and enforcement systems properly enacted? It's not just the regulations should not be limited to the regulations per se, but we need to adopt that, put that into practice. I'll start with Professor Lalit. Now, starting with water security and water supply. Now, we have the concept of e-flow, right? We have water diving. So before going on to water pollution, now with lots of water diverted, with lots of water impounded, what is that what is the impact of that on the environmental flow of water sources? Because when you have less water available for communities, they might look for alternative sources. If the alternative sources are not good enough for consumption, there are other implications. How can we ensure that there's environmental flow or the social flow is available for human consumption first and then to be used for any other purposes like irrigation? How would you like to, how should we ensure that the minimum flow is maintained in any water, any water resource?
Yeah, that's a very timely question, because we know that over the time, the water use practices were developed or significantly changed. If we say the water resources development, sometimes it is just the abstraction of water without looking at the alternatives, or sometimes even without looking at the adverse impact. That has been happening. We have to accept it. That is the truth. So one example, if we look at the groundwater resource before moving into the e-flow, so even the global water management agencies like IHP, Intergovernmental Hydrological Program, they have declared this decade dedicated for groundwater protection. Because as it has already been mentioned, groundwater is a very good alternative for surface water resources. The reason is we know that surface water resources are very much vulnerable to pollution, as well as they are subjected to very high flow variability depending on the rainfall patterns. But when it comes to the groundwater flow, the slowly infiltrated water moves underground, and they are moving towards the downstream parts very slowly because of the soil permeability and the slow movement of water when it is underground. So the importance of this is, we know that we extract water mostly from surface water streams and rivers. But if it is the case, how do we have water flowing from our taps during the dry season? Because we know the surface water flows will not be retained for a very long time when the rainfall stops. So this dry flow or the base flow is maintained due to the infiltrated water from the source areas, normally the high ground, and slowly moving towards the downstream parts. And if we look at the E-flow condition, the same rule applies here. So we have been developing water resources, so we have been just merely extracting water from available sources without looking at the consequences. So even the water management or the approving bodies, I'm not finding fault with those. That is the technology available during that period. So some of the agencies used to issue permits for water extraction, let's say for mini hydropower plants. They evaluated those applications for water extraction individually. But when some of the basins were exploited, there had been several water extraction points very close to each other. So until latter time, this was not brought into consideration. So now the things have been changing. That's a good development, even for the groundwater extraction. The monitoring agencies did not have a proper rule or a set of regulations to monitor groundwater extraction. And when they developed the monitoring protocol, later they found that as long as the developer obeys the rules and regulation, everything is fine. But there is no set of rules or regulations to force the water extraction or the water source exploitation when someone does not obey the rules and regulation. So now, luckily, there had been several changes to the rules and regulations. Now there are going to be a new water policy enacted soon. And when it comes to the E-flow analysis, we have very simple tools, like if we have the annual average flow, allowing 10% of the average flow to freely flow into the downstream when we plan for a water extraction project. On top of that, there are various other complicated methods which can analyze how much water is extracted, what is the average percentage of that extraction, and where the water is added back to the stream again, and within the distance where the water is divided from the river, are there any additional streams flowing into the main river? So then the impact would be somewhat diluted. So there are various other methods which can accommodate all these complicated scenarios and decide on a very fine-tuned flow rate that should be maintained to maintain the downstream ecosystems or the water users. But the problem is the implementation. So whenever there is a loophole, our developers used to take maximum out of that, and the practices were not very commendable. So there had been incidents. There had been several water extraction points, one after the other. Even the monitoring agencies did not notice it. Finally, let's say 10% is allowed from the first intake, but again another percentage is withdrawn from the next intake point. So finally there will be almost no flow in the main river after several consecutive extraction points. Now the things have been changed after implementing various rules and regulations, and we hope that when the new water policy is put into practice, things will improve even further.
Moving to Engineer Ranwala now, not having proper wastewater systems in urban communities as well as rural communities, and also our farmers have the bad practice of using fertilizer in excess. I think that is the negative consequence that we have by providing subsidies for fertilizer, not looking at the long-term environmental impacts that have in excess use of fertilizer. Now, what are the implications of not having proper wastewater systems and overusing of fertilizer, enriching the water systems with nitrogen, phosphorus pollution? And we see, now we like to have green color water. Commercial Bank has a nice green border depicting its commitment to sustainability, but we don't want to have green water around us. Green water indicates pollution. We need blue water, right? Now, what is the implication of not having proper wastewater systems and mismanaging the fertilizer use on groundwater resources, especially, as well as surface water resources?
It's a very pertinent question, and also it's a very difficult question to answer, because that is at the grassroots level. So, and also Sri Lanka being a third world country, so lack of resources, lack of infrastructure. Now, Dr. Lalit said that we have enough resources, but we don't have enough infrastructure to harness the resource. So this is also one thing. And also one gentleman raised a very good question on the sustainability. So what we should do? So there may be lot of solutions, and also we have to work a lot to go to that. Now recently we met the head of the Clean Sri Lanka. So the Clean Sri Lanka head, now his idea also, these are all various ideas, and according to him, we have lot of ordinances which are very old, and it's a very complicated question about even about fertilizer. Is fertilizer overuse? Now recently we took part in an environmental audit of one of these agriculture projects. Then what we recorded was excessive use of fertilizer and pesticides, also without any protection. So these are the questions that we should answer. So we should have an attitude shift, and we should have controls, and also we should have legal controls. Now we have, in certain cases, we have legal controls. Like if you go to the Municipal Council Ordinance or the Pradesh Sabha Act, you will see some provisions on drainage. If we harm the drainages or if we hamper the drainages, it has been defined as a criminal offense. But who knows? Who takes action? So these are the questions that we should answer. So we should have a bottom-up approach, and also we should have enough money or allocation and planning to resolve these issues.
Yeah, and recently the WHO have published their recreational water quality standards in 2021, and at the University of Maratua we did long-term monitoring of coastal water quality in the most popular resort areas around the coastal line. At least 8 locations, I don't want to mention them. And at all the 8 locations, they failed to reach the WHO water quality safety levels. Fecal contamination, then harmful algal bacteria denoted by phosphorus levels of 25 milligrams per liter, that is the trigger level, and the beach sand quality. Now, that is again another aspect of safe water that we need to have around us, right? So it's overuse of water when it comes to using water resources sustainably in the irrigation sector, for example, and responsible use of water when it comes to consumption of water, drinking, and disposal of used water, we call the wastewater. And one very short question from Engineer Dhanapala, now representing the institutions. The fertilizer use in Sri Lanka, we have the Fertilizer Act. We have tried to enact the fertilizer policy. To my knowledge, we have tried to come up with a policy, and there are, I think, at least 3 or 4 drafts for fertilizer policy. Now, with the Mahaweli Water Security Investment Program, are you looking at implementing a proper policy in the fertilizer and pesticide use, which will ultimately would provide benefits to they can derive benefits from the proper use of fertilizer and pesticide at the same time? They can, if they use them responsibly, they can make sure that the water resources are protected and the ecosystems function the way that the life systems are supported. Have you ever thought of enacting such policies even at local levels? Even programs, if you go beyond policies?
Actually, sir, we should have the policy for the fertilizer. If you think about the previous years, but the subsidy for the fertilizer, so in our canal system and tank system, normally the water weeds are growing, right? That is huge problem. So that is the problem of giving subsidy for the fertilizer. So now we don't have the, I think we don't have the proper policy, but in the CAT program and another the irrigations level, now our officers ask to farmers to test their soil. Then by testing those soils, we can identify the what are the needs we have to provide to farmlands. So by testing those things, then we can automatically control the fertilizer provisions for the irrigations field. That is my suggestion for those.
Okay, thank you. And we have going short of time. Moving away from these two topics, the industry's role, whether we can highlight the private-public partnerships in promoting circularity in water, reuse of water, reclaiming water, and investing in water recycling, zero waste discharge initiatives, and providing water use benchmarks, or using tax rebates for recycling and water stewardship. And also if every entity is responsible for reporting their water footprint, are they feasible to at the moment in Sri Lanka? Are we ready to go for such mandatory initiatives in promoting water stewardship? I think I can present that question to the audience if somebody is representing the industry. How ready is the industry to get connected with other sectors of the society in promoting just one thing, reducing the water footprint, or even investing in pollution control, reducing the water usage, recycling, promoting circularity?
Good evening, everyone. I'm here. So basically, we had a project in Katharagama 3 years ago. Basically, it was a charity project to give clean water, to supply clean water for the Katharagama population. And one of the main challenges that we came across is that the cost. For example, the water pump was somehow possible to give, but when it came to the purification part, it was in millions. And I feel like even after the project was over until today, we give the chemicals. Every 3 months we have to give the chemicals because, it goes out of the system. I feel like if for Sri Lanka to be ready, it also has to have a stable economy for the government to invest on this high technology to give out clean water, accessible for it. So until there is some kind of funding or something related to that area we don't get, I think it's very difficult to educate on it and actually give out a practical solutions. This is something I feel from the industry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we give, are you, okay, thanks. There are a lady and a gentleman, just we will give, just very briefly.
Since we are speaking about, we were talking about water footprint, or is there a way of doing mandatory calculations, so on and so forth? I think that on this whole conversation, I thought from the beginning we are missing something very important and which needs to be highlighted. I think you touched upon it in a very good way, speaking about mini hydros, how cascades of tapping that happens on a river stream or a river stretch, which basically dries off the entire river and eventually making the e-flow almost zero, which we have practically experienced. And also, when you spoke about the irrigation department or Mahavali is only providing water or mostly providing water for agriculture and not for industry, or there is no industry focus right now. I think on this context, when we take that context into account, I think there is something very critical missing, is that everybody is asking for water. Everybody wants to use the water. Everybody wants to treat the water, but nobody wants to protect the water. The source, catchments, river streams, river stretches. If you look at the largest or the river Kalani, I think more than 2 million people are using the water of Kalani River itself. It's the most polluted river in this country. More than 550 companies pollute in the Kalani River. There is a CEA report that is put on CEA website, which is still available. That was put out about 7 or 8 years ago. To date, there is nothing, nobody does to prevent the pollution of that. And then we have the 23/2010, which is a special gazette notification by the Water Resource Board on 2017 in the groundwater extraction, to limit the groundwater extraction and also to regulate the groundwater extraction. Not even Grama Niladaris, not even police officers, not even divisional secretaries knows that there is something like that exists. So fundamentally, my suggestion and opinion in a forum like this is that while speaking about how the water is rationed, or whether we put a price on water, or whether we do footprint calculations on water, I think it's very pertinent, important, and the corporates right here need to take the responsibility of preserving water and the catchments and whatever the sources that gives us water, which later can be either treated or used or whatever it is. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think I appreciate your comments very much. That's why when I said we need pollution prevention strategies rather than produce, say just generating the waste and then trying to control it, I think we need to go for prevention technologies than control strategies. Yes.
Thank you. I'm Diluka. I work for the Global Water Partnership, South Asia Regional Office. Maybe a following up comment. Either this is wastewater that we are talking about, salt water, brackish water, irrigation water, either whatever water, that is H2O, the same H2O that we are talking about. So for 3 decades or maybe more than that, we have been talking about the integrated water resources management. And now we brought this term called multi-sectoral approach. We are talking about it. Every forum I have seen several times. Whenever I come to such a forum, I feel like, okay, we are just talking. But Ministry of Irrigation is dragging to the irrigation water side, agriculture, they say they want water, and drinking water, they show the importance of having the purified, good water, quality water for drinking. I have seen in other forums, yes, we talk about it and we say that we need to sit together and start the discussion going on. But I would say if we all sit together and do this integrated approach, that will eventually become smart. No need to bring the smart technology. So if all the brains are together, this smart thing will come. So I just would suggest again, if possible, for Sri Lanka to move forward like this.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have consumed the time that has been allocated for us. Thank you very much for your very pertinent comment. We are talking, but not taking anything forward I would suggest that Commercial Bank would follow up the discussion that we had and have a continuous dialogue with the stakeholders. I suggest Commercial Bank to take that up. And we have to close this session, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take a moment to thank first the panelists. I wanted badly to wrap up this by providing them with another opportunity. If you can give me just 2 minutes, I will ask you just 2-3 sentences, just a wrap-up comment from 3 of the panelists.
Yes, I think you raised a question on the integrated water resource management. It is happening at the moment, but which is not complete. Now you take, for example, the Mahavali system. Now they have a very good idea. They have various models and they have a very good idea of the catchment and the catchment resource and how much will be allocated, how much will be given for water supply, how much will be given for environment. All that is now there, is being practiced, but not fully practiced. So this is the question. So we have to move forward. After discussions and after integration, changing laws, and we have to be very strict on the law enforcement. And this government also came to power to do just that. So the law enforcement also should be that. As I mentioned earlier, in the acts and things, all the legal provisions are there. Most of the things are there, but no enforcement. The CEA and all various organizations, they have powers, but no enforcement or little enforcement. That will solve also part of the question.
Yeah, let me add something because I'm representing the university community. Universities are not implementing agencies. Actually, we do the education part, and on top of that, on top of producing undergraduates, civil engineers, we conduct postgraduate programs. So normally we call postgraduate participants as students, but they are representing the industry. So they are working water professionals. So that is a part of awareness building, which will contribute to solving at least some of these rising problems. So in our university system or in our programs, we have introduced another important or interesting scenario. We call it problem-based learning or problem-based design thinking. That means each and every participant will bring in real-life water-related, engineering-related problems to the course program. They try to solve it together with their institutions or organizations as a part of their coursework component. So in that way, one aspect is the awareness building. The organizations themselves are made aware of the situation and they have approach to take part in the actual problem solving process. And integrated water resources management, of course, it is there. It has been practiced over a very long time and it is an evolving process. So now we are moving into different directions. And on top of that, as Engineer Rangwala very correctly mentioned, the implementation, enforcing part is very important because otherwise we are very much reluctant to obey these on a voluntary basis. So that is also another important part.
Thank you, Professor Lalit. Yeah, just very quickly.
I want to also the answer for the integrated water resource management. Actually, we are practicing. So normally we are issuing the environment also. So the last 2 years, now normally we are conducting the water panel meeting. So the DG of the Wildlife Department also participation for that meeting. So recently there were some problem in the Min area and Kaudulla after constructing the Moragahakanda and Kaluganga. Now they also come into the water panel meeting and they are discussing their matter and we are solving those problems and we are considering the tourism also in the water panel meeting. So now we are practicing, but at the moment we are not checking the water quality and other things. So in future we are try to conduct those things, then we can go for the integrated manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Dhanapala. I wish to thank again my fellow panelists and thank you again for all the participants for your time, for your attention, and also your continued commitment to build a more water secure and a sustainable future for this country. Thank you very much, and please enjoy the rest of the summit. Thank you.